Mama said I should stop acting weird. I'm being too loud, it's just me and my depression beard. Who are you now? More is less and less, the less appears. Feeling chewed up, but I guess I got some ends to share.
Fueled up, took a break, had a smoke, time to get back on the road. This traffic light wasn't here when I commuted before. And coming up on the side roads here, you just had stop signs, and this road I'm on kept going. And during rush hour, it was hell. People would bully me since I'm on a bike. They know they can go, and I can't get in their way or anything. This church on the left, Salem's Church, always has funny stuff on this sign. Can't really read it there, but it says "Silly Wabbit, Easter is for Jesus." It's always jokes on that sign. Good jokes or not, always a joke. So now we're heading northbound on M52 towards Chelsea, Michigan. This is a main thoroughfare that goes north-south through the state. Hits a lot of cities. If you go south from here, you hit Manchester, Michigan, which is a nice little village, and then south from there you go towards the outskirts of Adrian, Michigan, which is a city by the standards of this area. One of the best parts of this commute is on the left right here. See the smiley face satellite dish and the alpaca farm? Come on. How can you not love a field full of alpacas being smiled on by a satellite dish? Somewhere along this road, M52, is where I fell in love with motorcycles. I was driving into work in a car, and I was passed by a guy on a Kawasaki Ninja in green, wearing a tan-colored backpack. And when I saw him during commute hours riding that bike with that backpack on, it made me realize that motorcycles don't have to just be a toy or a weekend vehicle, or to show off or go fast or whatever. You can actually use them as transportation. And then it clicked in my head that I wanted to ride motorcycles. And I think within a week, I had a motorcycle. I was signed up for the MSF class. And it's been my number one passion in life ever since. I remember though, long before that, my first memory of a sport bike, I was a kid and I was riding in the passenger seat of my dad's car. And we were stuck behind a couple cars on a straight 55-mile-an-hour road, and a bike passed us, a sport bike, silver one, loud, ripped past us, and he went down and he braked and he dipped into the corner up ahead. That memory stuck with me. Other than those two standout memories, I can't really say what drew me into motorcycling, other than the fact that it's just awesome. From from an outside perspective, it may seem like this is just empty farm country, and you might wonder why there are just so many cars on this road, even though it's not even rush hour yet. Like, this is pre-rush hour traffic. And it's because we're getting close to the city and Interstate 94, which is a main artery that goes from Detroit all the way west out of state. I hate when people roll up to stop signs like that, even though that's what I do too, you know, get up to the stop sign quick. I'm always worried that they don't know how to brake. On the left here, over that berm that those trees are on, is a bunch of crushed cars. And you get in big trouble if you try to sneak in there and see them. Because this building up on the left is the Chrysler Proving Grounds, or as it was known back when I commuted here, the Daimler Chrysler Proving Grounds. And you'll see a lot of test cars before they're launched and stuff like that, and EPA test cars coming out of here. And back in 2005, before the new Charger came out, I was commuting here in my 99 Mustang Cobra, and someone pulled out in what was going to be known as a Charger. I had no idea what it was, but we were going southbound. We had a lot of fun, me and that Cobra and that guy and his experimental Charger. Man, this Jeep catches up to me fast. Yeah, they chill out though. Sometimes all you gotta do is kind of look over your shoulder a little and they'll realize that they're making you uncomfortable. Oh, that was a windy one. And that's Chelsea, Michigan up ahead. We're about to cross over I-94. And then we'll be into a whole different kind of territory from all this farmland we've been riding through. Shout out Chelsea Chevy. Great dealership. And look at this. It's about 4 o'clock in Chelsea at this point. And as you can see, there's already quite a bit of traffic. People coming from the country out to the freeway. Which would indicate that they're commuting to the country from somewhere else. Based on the number of Chrysler vehicles, I'm going to guess these are testing grounds employees. They probably are allowed to leave before rush hour because otherwise they would just be rush hour themselves. And the gas station on the left here, I don't know if you'll be able to see it on the video, but that Jeep there with all those black and white stripes on it, yeah, that one right there. That's a test vehicle. They put those black and white stripes all over them to make it so you can't really tell the shape. So if it's an upgrade of a model from a previous year, you won't be able to write in your car journal about what's different about the new one until they actually reveal it. They still have to test it on the road in real world conditions before they can release it to the public. Chelsea here is a quaint little city. This is kind of the commercial district, car dealerships, grocery stores, Secretary of State's here, a couple of banks, fast food, that kind of thing. As we cross over US 12 here, we're going to be getting into the city part of Chelsea. A lot of people who live in Chelsea work in Ann Arbor, which is the next city up, I-94 to the east. Because you get this mix of rural from the west and south and city from the east, you get a very interesting mix of cultures here. See, there's a lot of traffic in Chelsea right now. I'm a little bit bothered by these people crowding the intersection in front of the hospital. Although I'm sure it's not entirely intentional on their part. I'm sure some of it comes from selfishness. And now we're heading into the downtown area of Chelsea. Kind of a cute little city with all these houses right up against the main drag. If you go left or right, it's pretty much just all more neighborhood in that area. Here on the right is the courthouse, the police station. Very old Ford dealership on the left. Speaking of the mix of cultures in Chelsea, the cars you'll see parked here is always kind of funny because sometimes you'll see, like, all good old boy trucks held together with baling wire and 2x4s, and then there's Bentleys and Rolls Royces that'll just be chilling on the side of the road like it's no big deal. The clock tower up ahead is a nice visual feature. Man, when there's a train that comes through on these train tracks, this whole place shuts down. On the left is a Jiffy Mix factory that's served by these railroad tracks. I would have taken a glance at it, but the traffic had me a little concentrated. And just like that, the city of Chelsea is over. Continue straight on M52 north. Eventually you get to I-96, which is one of the other major arteries serving Detroit and Detroit adjacent cities in the state of Michigan. But we're going to turn right at this roundabout, and this intersection was definitely not a roundabout when I used to commute here. Roundabouts are a relatively new thing in Michigan. huge proponent of roundabouts. I think they're a fantastic design for an intersection, and the only thing bad about them is that some people are unfamiliar about them, which is a problem that would be solved if there were more of them. This is another road that changes names as you drive down it, but at some point it's called Stouffer, at some point it's called Werkner. It's a shortcut. We're taking it up to a road called North Territorial, which is a very important road for commuting in this area. If I continued north on M52, I would hit North Territorial and have a nice scenic route up there, but the amount of time it adds is crazy, and never at this point in my commute was I feeling up to that much extra distance. And also on this day, I'm at about mile 350 of my ride now. Landfill on the right. This curvy section coming up ahead is just a wonderful set of curves, especially on a motorcycle. Unfortunately, we're behind some slow pokes, but that's all right. Can't hit them every day. I think this Silver Fusion, 2 cars ahead of me, is looking for a road. They hit their turn signal here and they don't take the turn. It's totally understandable to be confused on what road you're on and where you're supposed to turn on here. I want to say you should let people by before you slow down and start looking for addresses and road signs, but it's not like I'm going to be doing that unless I'm having a real hard time. This corner is awesome because even though it's a really tight corner, it's banked more than it looks like. You can see it's banked in the video, but it's banked even more than it looks like. So you can easily hit it at 55 if you know the corner in your vehicle. Going this direction, it's a decreasing radius, so you'll see a lot of bikes rolling off on the shoulder and into the grass on the exit of it, though. They get scared and don't want to lean in more. A bunch of these houses on the right are incumbent politicians in Chelsea and the township and county around here. It's kind of funny they all have their houses in the same place. On the left here is the North Lake Country Store. That big building is new as of last year, and this dirt spot on the left is where the old building used to be, which was like an old wood building. It was pretty much a house with a bunch of attachments that have been added over time. It's kind of a crappy building to have a little convenience store in, but there's some nostalgia to it. You know, it smelled a certain way and reminded you of childhood and coming out here on fishing trips and that kind of thing. But the new store is awesome. It's huge. Only problem is it smells like fried chicken outside all the time, which on a day like this where I hadn't eaten all day, it's According to my grandparents, this restaurant on the left right here, this little tavern, the Inverness Inn or something, is at the time when they moved out here, was the only restaurant in this whole area. And I believe them, because when I was a kid out in this area, there was barely anything already. It's built up a lot though, as people from Chelsea and Ann Arbor have started moving out, pushing out into the country, buying homes. So now we're on North Territorial. This road is kind of infamous for people who commute in this area because during rush hour it is an insane experience. It's a 50-mile-an-hour road, as you can see, no shoulder, 2-lane, but during the morning commute, if you're not going 65 plus, you're getting passed, and they're going to pass you wherever they can, and even somewhere where they shouldn't, like blind corners or with traffic coming. You're expected to have the same hustle as everyone else, and they have no sympathy for you. They're not trying to be polite to you or keep from scaring you or anything. Now this shiny horse sculpture on the right is actually new as of this week. That hasn't been there before. At least I think so. I'm pretty sure I would have noticed something like that. Actually, I can't be too certain I would have noticed something like that, you know? Now the craziest thing I ever saw when commuting on this road was in the morning. So I was coming the other way. I was going down this straightaway, and I saw a 4-wide passing event. So there was a car in the left lane, a motorcycle passing them, a car in my lane who was passing a PT Cruiser that got shoved off into the ditch here on the right and just barely escaped disaster and may have hit something and damaged their vehicle. But 3 cars and a motorcycle passing 4 wide. These are still roads I ride on a regular basis because I live just north of Hell. If you turn left on this road coming up over this hill, it takes you up to Hell. Keep going north a little, you'll find me. Please don't. Now this closed party store / former restaurant here on the right, don't ever buy that location. It's cursed. Nobody has ever even remotely ran a successful business out of that place. Maybe you'll be the one to do it. Maybe you have the business gift. All I'm saying is it seems like a pretty decent place for a liquor store, and yet can continue on North Territorial way far in the direction I'm going, and eventually you'll get to the suburban Detroit area. So it turns from this into like actual cityscape. On the left there was the entrance to the Peach Mountain Observatory. If you can park there and walk up, and there's these huge satellite dishes that I think are actually radio telescopes that are used by the University of Michigan for some cool space watching. It's also a really nice hiking trail. This road we're crossing is Dexter Pinckney Road, so named because it goes between Dexter and Pinckney. And since I live on the outskirts of Pinckney, I stop thinking and forget that I'm not going home. Lucked out there was no car behind me. Crossing over the Huron River, a sizable river that feeds the chain of lakes that give this area its unique look and shape. This road going to the right is Huron River Drive. You follow that up, it goes up and hugs right along the river. You can just drive with the river all the way into Ann Arbor. It's a really beautiful road. I've got some videos of it on the channel if you want to watch them. That bike in my mirror isn't actually flashing its headlights. That's just the frame rate of the camera. And that's been showing up in my GoPro videos a lot recently since my last update. I'm curious what they changed. Bike got caught by that light. He came up on me. He was going faster than me, but then kept his distance. I think what happens a lot is bikers who catch up to another bike don't want to seem like they're trying to race or pass or anything, so they keep a long distance from you, and so they frequently get caught at lights and stuff. I wouldn't even mind if you came up past me. If you ever catch up to me on a road and you know it's me, you can pass on the left all you want. Please don't pass on the right. You can pass on the left all you want. Just rip right by me. I don't care. I don't try to race you or nothing. Back when I used to commute on this road, the house on the left of this corner coming up used to put their hose right on the road and let the hose run across the road. I think they were trying to get people to slow down or something. Seemed like a weird thing to do. Now that I'm looking, I think that the house might not even be there anymore. Because in my memory, it looks a lot different. I can understand the idea of not wanting people speeding in the curves past your house, but it's North Territorial, man. They're gonna do it. Some of these people got 2-3 hour commutes into the city on this road. So it really affects their life and their lifestyle if they can go an extra 10 or 20 miles an hour faster. This intersection coming up can be pretty scary when there's a lot of traffic and people trying to turn left. People trying to turn left are not only trying to complete their turn, but they also feel this pressure of all these people behind them who were going 70 and now have to wait for them. Thinking about maybe passing them on the shoulder and stuff. So if you're on a bike, you got to be really careful that someone's going to try to jump across. You might not see it, even in a car. I used to deliver pizza in this area, and one time I was going the other direction that we're going right now in a '89 Toyota Celica, delivering pizza to someone. And, I came around a curve, and the house I was delivering to was on the left, so I slowed down and I had to stop, wait for traffic for a gap to turn into their driveway. And I'm waiting for my gap, and I just hear screeching. So I look in my mirror and I see a little 80s Toyota pickup with the rears locked up, so that back end is just going out, and in the driver's seat is this big lady, just white knuckle, working that steering wheel with the face on her like a pure terror. It's that kind of thing that the image sticks in your brain. This is the road you got to focus on, even if you're driving normal, even if you're just chilling out, going the speed limit, not trying to get anywhere too quick. A lot of roads in this area are like that. They're not for zoning out. Whether it's critters, deer, people stopping, people coming the other way past someone else around a blind corner. This area is a chain of lakes fed by the Huron River, as I mentioned before. So there's a lot of curving roads going around their lakes, a lot of hills and valleys that formed along with, concurrently to the lakes, that were not flattened out or anything, as you can tell. And the roads just kind of meander through them based on all kinds of things: terrain, property lines, township lines, county lines, all these different factors giving these roads these unique qualities. And so most of the roads are these narrow 2 lanes with no shoulders weaving through the trees. But they have to have, some of these roads have to be fast, or else it would just be so impractical to try to get anywhere around here if every road was 35 or 45 mile an hour, like the average person would probably feel comfortable with. It does make it great to be a motorcyclist and a sport driving enthusiast, because there's these winding, beautiful roads with excessive speed limits and minimal traffic enforcement. . 。 . 。 . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . Right now we're crossing over Whitmore Lake Road. Right ahead there is US 23, another one of the main arteries in the state of Michigan. Goes all the way from Ohio up north. This intersection was definitely not a roundabout when I commuted through here. Definitely not multiple roundabouts as it is now. These are kind of difficult roundabouts, and if you don't know them well, even if you're pretty decent at riding a motorcycle, as I like to think I am, you get absolutely smoked by, say, some guy on a stock Harley who just rides these every day. Not that that ever happened, and if it did, of course, I wouldn't tell you about it. Merging now into North US 23. 2 lanes on each side, except now you can see they're on that, between those yellow lines there. That's new. They've added that since I commuted here, and it's very necessary because this road gets majorly contested. I'm talking bumper to bumper for 10, 15, 20 miles. Now you're supposed to only go 60 when all 3 lanes are open, but this is, of course, Michigan. And you're only supposed to use that extra lane when the little arrow says it's open. But then again, I mean, do you just always do what you're supposed to do? I'm only going up 2 exits, so I'm just relaxed. Plus, again, this is like mile 400 on my ride this day. I'm exhausted. Cold. Still better than not being on a bike. Now we're getting off at Barker Road in Whitmore Lake, Michigan. If you go up one more exit, you hit 8 Mile, which is a road that comes all the way from Detroit. You may have heard about it. Maybe maybe in the movies. Maybe you might have heard it mentioned once or twice. The 8 Mile road. It's not what you would expect if you'd seen the movies in this part. Whitmore Lake is a different kind of hood. But this is where I lived for a good few years. Now, we did not live at the lake portion of Whitmore Lake. We lived at the outskirts. It's a different kind of culture once you get away from the lake houses. It's always scary stopping at this exit ramp when you see another car coming down the exit ramp, especially if you're like me and you once saw a Jeep come down here, blow 3 tires, and roll through the intersection. That's the entrance ramp I use to get on the freeway every day. Very scary ramp. Not a whole lot of merge time on that one. If you're in a slow vehicle, you had to plan ahead, and you had to be willing to dive off onto the shoulder. Now we're going to this quaint little subdivision in which I used to live. Seems like a peaceful place, but say you were to live on one of these houses on the right, like that little ranch one right there, the freeway right behind the house. You'd want a bedroom on the front of the house if you lived there, because there'd be a lot of walls between you and the freeway. One time I was riding down this on a Hayabusa. There was a trash can kind of on the road. Little kid jumps out in front of my bike, tries to scare me. I'm like, yeah, you scared me. Yeah, obviously I'm scared. Little shit. And that's my old commute. It was a lot of fun to relive, and I hope it was fun listening to my stories and rambling on. If you listened all this way, hit me with a peanut in the comments. Just throw up the word peanut.